The climate hysteria movement is not about science. If it were about science, it would be led by scientists rather than by politicians and a mentally ill Swedish child who is being exploited by her parents and by the international left. So what you're seeing here is a political movement and a religious movement, and it's fulfilling religious and political goals of the left, but it isn't doing very much for science.
Chris, you had a visceral reaction to that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you're a grown man and you're attacking a child. Shame on you. She's trying to do what she thinks is right. And by the way, now relax, skinny boy. I got this. Okay, you're attacking a child. You're a grown man. Have some cool.
I'm not. I'm attacking the left for exploiting a mentally ill child.
Maybe on your podcast, you get away and say whatever you want because nobody's listening. You're on national television. Be a grown-up when you're talking about children. She's trying to save the planet because your president doesn't believe in climate change, and kids need to take to the streets to worry about their future. You are despicable for talking to her about her like that, and you should apologize on national television right now.
I think the international left and her parents who are exploiting a girl with many mental illnesses.
You called her mentally ill. Take it back now.
She is mentally ill. Take it back now. She is mentally ill. She has autism. She has obsessive compulsive disorder. She has selective mutism. She had depression.
You are despicable.
Her mother.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
Hey guys.
Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
God bless Michael Knowles, recent guest on the Bond Men's Conference. I think he appeared at the Bond Men's Conference over a year ago, 2 men's conferences ago. That was Michael Knowles of the Daily Wire. And Michael Knowles rightly stated, apparently, I didn't know this, but he tends to spit facts, right? Spit. That's like white people imitating black people. We pick up you guys' words, you guys' cool words, like 10 years after you stop using them. But anyways, Michael Knowles tends to give facts. Like he knows his stuff, and he's like a smart young millennial guy. I think he's married. I wonder if he has white babies. Is he white? I think he's Italian. Does that count? I'm not sure what he is, but anyways, Michael Knowles told the truth that the girl who is being promoted and exploited and, a useful idiot, a sassy girl that nobody likes in school, probably, from Sweden, that shouldn't be even here, nor should the UN, to be honest. UN are disgusting people. We hate them. I don't know, maybe we don't hate them. Well, I probably do. Get rid of hate, right? But, yeah, they like to inspire hatred in you by putting up the most despicable, evil people. They did it with Sandra Fluke, whatever her name is. Sandra Fluke, who said, I need the government to pay for my birth control pills and abortion and stuff like that. And then that host, what's the biggest conservative host from decades running? Rush Limbaugh called her a slut. She's promoting being a slut because she has sex. She wasn't married, by the way, I don't think. And she wanted so-called birth control. I think she was white. Maybe she was not white. But she's part of the reason that we're not having white babies. James, you hate them, I informally says. Yes, Lewis, you're right. Shame on me. But shame on them too, right? It doesn't, just because I'm full of hate doesn't mean I can't talk, right? Hey, Trevor. So, Michael Knowles told the truth. She is mentally ill. And the way that the media cast it is Daily Wire's Michael Knowles banned from Fox News after calling Greta Thunberg mentally ill. Which she is. It's a fact. She admitted, apparently, that she is. Michael Knowles listed the things, and I consider a reliable source of information because he doesn't tend to just say things off the fly. And so he was battling this other guy who's been a previous guest on the Jesse Lee Peterson show, Christopher Hahn. I believe he's been on their show before. Yeah. A couple of times I think he's been on Fox News with the host Harris Faulkner. And so since she is mentally ill, what's the problem? Well, you have a picture of his wife? Yeah. Uh-oh. Nobody covet. Let's see it. Let's see her. There's Michael Knowles married. Beautiful wedding. Right on. Amazing. That's cool. I wonder if he has white babies yet. But anyways, what's the problem of saying that they shouldn't be using a mentally ill child or something like that if they really care about so-called science? It's not about science, he said. And, oh yeah, and Michael Knowles was called Skinny Boy by Christopher Hahn. And Periscope, I see it in a Periscope comment, but it was censored. Periscope engages in censorship. They're owned by Twitter. So what's the problem? The problem is that you're not supposed to shame the mentally ill. And just because somebody's mentally ill doesn't mean they're not fit to talk. You know who else is mentally ill? That woman who confronted Ted Cruz and didn't think that he was a human with a heartbeat. That actress, Alyssa Milano, or Melissa Milano, as some of the people will call her. She's the actress who promotes the hashtag Me Too movement. I'm pretty sure that she started the Me Too hashtag or promoted it. And yeah, they're censoring Skinny Boy. So why didn't Fox News censor Christopher Hahn for skinny shaming, body shaming? Anyways, so according to an AP tweet, I do have this tweet. Fox News apologizes for a guest who called environmental activist Greta Thunberg, or Thunberg, mentally ill. The network called the comment disgraceful and said that the guest would never appear again. And I don't know if that's real news or fake news. AP does often have factual information, but they are activists and they don't always think clearly. They don't always put things accurately. What else I heard was that Fox News has no plans of having him in the future. So I don't know. Maybe they're never going to have him again or whatever. But I think their publicist might be a woman. And it is woman thinking to get outraged at this notion that a mentally ill person should not be at the forefront of a organization, of a push, of a so-called movement. And they are using her. They are using that Greta Thunberg. Trump had a tweet. She seems like a very happy young girl looking forward to a bright and wonderful future. So nice to see. Of course, that's sarcastic, right? It's funny, though. You have to, because the whole notion is they put this girl out there as like a tripping block to make you trip over her and make fun of her. If you make fun of her too harshly or at all, then they call you heartless because they use them as a, human shield. And I heard one smart person say, what do you do when someone uses a human shield? You destroy the shield and then destroy the person using the shield. And so that's what we should keep doing. It's a nice idea. That was from this guy, Vox Day, who's been on the Jesse Lee Peterson show a couple of times. So I have some clips of this girl just to remind you what she's like in case you didn't catch the show yesterday or in case you were just itching to hear this girl again. Real fast, I just want to play her. I got this from Wired on Twitter. They were promoting her, and a bunch of the liberal media has been promoting her. She says, in this first clip, she says, "You ruined my childhood," or something like that. Here it is.
My message is that we'll be watching you. It's not a joke. It's not a joke. This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here.
I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you?
I like her accent.
You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words, and yet I'm one of the lucky ones. People are suffering, people are dying, entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you?
Is it true that her parents are Antifa? That's what I heard. I don't know if it's true. But that's her. And I have a little bit more. I want to play like more of her. Her parents are both on IMDb, according to Jesse's producer. Here is where she says something that's really interesting. At the end of this clip, this next one, she says, "I refuse to believe that you're evil." And she's talking to the UN. So, they're evil. Here she is.
For more than 30 years, the science has been crystal clear.
No, it hasn't.
How dare you continue to look away and come here saying that you're doing enough when the politics and solutions needed are still nowhere in sight. You say you hear us and that you understand the urgency. But no matter how sad and angry I am, I do not want to believe that. Because if you really understood the situation and still kept on failing to act, then you would be evil, and that I refuse to believe.
So she's trying to encourage them not to be evil or something like that. But no, her parents are evil. So author, producer, actor parents, according to Jesse's producer. And so she goes on and gives a bunch of facts. I cut out some of the facts because it's boring stuff. And who knows if they're actual real facts. So, but she does go on and she says something about equity and climate justice. And I just wanted to include that little bit. I don't know what she's talking about. And then she goes on and thinks that she and other kids won't let the adults get away with what they're doing. So here's that.
All the aspects of equity and climate justice. How dare you pretend that this can be solved with just business as usual and some technical solutions? Because these numbers are too uncomfortable and you are still not mature enough to tell it like it is. You are failing us. But the young people are starting to understand your betrayal. The eyes of all future generations are upon you. And if you choose to fail us, I say we will never forgive you.
That's evil. So.
We will not let you get away with this. Right here, right now, is where we draw the line. The world is waking up. And change is coming, whether you like it or not. Thank you.
Man, I hope these people don't win. That's nasty. So she does have a cool accent. I picture her father being named Olaf and being bald and big, but he's probably not. Probably like a beta male. Olaf being like some Scandinavian type of name. And like I said, she looks a lot like one of my nieces. But my niece is cooler than not as evil, I don't think. At least not this brazenly evil and brainwashed as this girl. So, I just wanted to show you what she's like. And yes, according to Michael Knowles, she does have mental illnesses, and he listed several of them. And Christopher Hahn made a big scene, and the liberals think that, Christopher Hahn did such a good job knocking down Michael Knowles of the Daily Wire. And the notion that you can't make fun of or criticize or discount or disqualify the mentally ill from the public, standing on the public square and being authority on any issue, is a betrayal of common sense reality. Too manly, Michael Knowles. Too logical. Too many facts. Because too much common sense. Because common sense says, you fix the child's mental illness first. Don't be putting her in the forefront. Shame on her for doing it. She's on a trip. She is 16. That's old enough to know better, I would say. But then again, her parents are probably horrible people. Actor, producer, writer, author, parents. No wonder the liberals, anytime an actor speaks, pretty much it's going to be a disappointment on anything political or spiritual, physical, whatever. Anything that they talk about other than just acting. So anyway, let me get to some calls. Sal out of Denver, Colorado. Sal, how are you?
Great. Your opening today was the best starter for any of your shows
Thanks,
ever.
man.
I've heard probably like 20 of them from start to finish. So,
Right on.
Yeah, that was the best because I had not heard that. Chris Hahn, what a beta.
Yeah.
Wow, what a moron.
But I'll tell you, he's good at being evil because this plays along to the female-minded liberals who just have this kiss-up mentality toward the mentally ill. But they don't really care about the mentally ill. They're using them in order to take away the guns from. They want more and more people to be shameless. They want to take away the shame and stigma of mental illness, so they can take away the guns of the mentally ill, of whom there are going to be more and more and more. Yeah, he's evil, but he is a beta. That's true too. Kiss up.
Yeah, that was unexpected. I mean, I know I've heard him flip out a little bit on Janine Pirro's show on Saturday nights. He's sometimes on there usually with Dan Bongino, say, Chris Hahn, that is. Yeah. On the Justice with Judge Janine.
Right.
On Saturday evenings. So, yeah, that's interesting, but he didn't go cat poop crazy like that.
He's been on Jesse's show before. Wow. You know, I noticed that the outrage usually happens when somebody tells the truth or says something that could possibly wake people up. It's like an emperor has no clothes moment. When the boy said, all the kingdom loved the emperor's new clothes because only the pure in heart can see the clothes. And so nobody wanted to admit that they were not pure in heart, so they pretended they could see his clothes, but everybody could see that he's naked. And likewise, everybody knows that a mentally ill Swedish child has no business promoting this nonsense. But the female-minded, emotional, let's feel sorry for the child and the little girl and this mentally ill.
I want to tell you 3 quick facts, if I may, before
all right, yeah, go for it.
Other callers about this young lady and Sweden in particular. She's not old enough to drive. You have to be 18 to drive.
Yep.
I believe you have to be 18 to vote over there. I'm not 100% on that, but that's what I'd heard at least in 2 places. And lastly, they got a problem with immigrants coming from Islamic countries and grabbing the little girls and stuff like that. They have a serious super-ass problem. She can't even fix the problems in her own country, and she's coming across the world to blame us for everything, like everybody does.
I heard about that. I heard that there's a rape and so-called sexual assault problem amongst the uncouth Muslim immigrants to Sweden. What a shame.
I've seen posters that have just images of brown men grabbing young ladies and things saying, don't do this in whatever language.
That's where it came from.
I've seen posters of it. I know they're real.
Those are like the educational public service announcements. Hey, don't touch the women here or here or here. And don't be grabbing them.
Right.
That's funny.
Have it at public places, but they don't listen, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because they never do anything about it. They're so tolerant that everything can happen there, and they can completely ignore it.
They're tolerant of judgmental. They're tolerant of evil.
Out great.
They're not tolerant of good. They're tolerant of evil. That's why Fox News.
To Sweden, folks. Please
allegedly
don't do that. Honestly.
Yeah, that's why Fox News allegedly banned.
Give up your liberty doing that. Because there's plenty of other safe countries to go, but not Sweden.
Right. I mean, America's becoming less safe. They're becoming like Sweden. They're banning Michael Knowles for telling the truth about these issues. And, yeah, it's bad. I appreciate it, Sal. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Let me go quickly to Skip out of Augusta, Georgia. Skip, how are you?
Hey, James, how you doing, man?
Doing fine. What's up?
Well, look at here. It's kind of a carryover from what Jesse was talking to a caller about earlier. He had a caller that called in. I can't remember his name, Daniel or somebody, but he called in with this attitude of, oh, poor me. I don't know what to do. I need some help. I need somebody to tell me what to do.
Yeah.
You remember that guy?
Vaguely.
That kind of kills me, James, because he's like 30 years old or 32 years old.
Yeah.
If you don't know what to do by that age in your life, ain't nobody gonna be able to help you.
Right. Yeah. You just have to get a job. Get a job.
Think about it like this, James.
Yeah.
Life's not fair. You got to, the only thing about fair is you got to pay once to get in every year when it comes around. Life's not fair. We make choices, and sometimes we make bad choices, and sometimes choices happen that we don't make that make things bad.
Yeah.
If you might not be working the job that you want to work, but at least you're working a job and you're paying your bills. Go to trade school and learn a trade and find you a good trade that's going to pay good and better yourself. Don't sit there and feel sorry for yourself, and surround yourself, and people are good about this. They surround themselves with people that make them say, oh, it's not your fault. Oh, things are going to get better, but it's not your fault. And people feed into that crap.
Let me ask you a question. This caller that you're referring to from the Jesse Lee Peterson show, this is hour 4 from Jesse Lee Peterson's stream. You can catch it on YouTube, Periscope, DLive, Mixer, or JLPtalk.com. Did that guy say that he went to college? That depressed guy?
James, I don't remember if he did or not.
Well, regardless, I'll tell you that I think there's a lot of people like this because most people don't really know what they want to do in life, and that's shouldn't be their concern. But there is a brainwashing of it's not just college, it's elementary school, junior high, high school, middle school for those of you guys who went to middle school. But they promote this notion of going to college and having a calling and a career and figuring out what you want to do in life. And you don't figure out what you want to do in life. You do what you're supposed to do. Do what's kind of like what Jesse says, do what's in front of you. You take the opportunities and you do your best at them. You didn't have a choice to be born. What makes you think you're going to have a choice in like necessarily the direction of your life? You just you're in the position that you're in, and like you have these opportunities, you take a decent opportunity and go with it.
You make the best out of what you got right then.
Yeah.
Of you.
But some people are like multi-talented, and so then they feel like they have so many choices. But you're right. He is being 30 and being in that situation is a bit old. But this is what society wanted to happen. They've misled people to being into their ego and having the notion of, set your goals and chase after them and stuff like that, where you should just do what's right.
It's kind of like that girl you just showed on there, that little confused 16-year-old girl.
Yeah, that mentally ill Swedish child.
Right. When people watch her and other people just like her, with a victim mentality, they start feeding into that crap.
Yeah, she's on an ego trip, and I wonder if she's going to regret it later, or if she'll just stay deluded for the rest of her life. You never know.
Well, Fran, she's on chat a good bit. She's a regular on there, and she made a comment. She said, it's never too late to change. People can realize in time that, I was wrong all these years, but I can make that change and start thinking the right way and doing the right thing and making the right choices. So it's never too late.
Yeah.
You could just only hope for them. And I believe, James, the best way to do it is to surround yourself with positive people.
Yeah, maybe not necessarily just positive people, although you shouldn't be around negative people, but people that you respect, that people that are like maybe even like better than you, yeah, good quality friends, because you tend to become like your surroundings. You make a good point.
Yeah, you're right. And I tell you what, I'd rather be around somebody that's going to tell me the truth about myself.
Yep.
That's going to help me instead of someone that's not telling me the truth just to get along with me. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah. True friends stab you in the front, as the line goes. I don't know who said it.
Exactly. They don't wait and say it behind your back. They let you know right then. Hey, look here. What you're telling me, it sounds like you need to make some changes, and just go ahead and be front with you and be up front and tell you what's really going on, what they think could help you.
Yeah. Man, Skip, nice to hear from you.
Yeah, you too, James. Keep up the good work, buddy.
All right, you as well. Take care.
All right, bye.
Bye. Let me quickly, before I get to the rest of you guys, I know Julius, Christopher, and others, I will be getting to you in a moment, but let me just quickly talk about the UN, because this girl was speaking before the UN, and I reported a little bit about what this UN guy said, and the UN wants control, and they're globalist, socialist control. And they are mad because America and China seem to be heading in two different directions, I guess, according to this Secretary General of the UN. This is from Wikipedia and Google about this UN chief, Antonio Manuel de Oliveira Guterres, who is, I don't know what that is a Portuguese politician, and I have a screenshot of him and his little profile. He's a Portuguese politician, this UN guy, and diplomat who is serving as the 9th Secretary General of the United Nations, which we should get out of. Previously, he was the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, which is a horrible organization, I would say, between 2005 and 2015. And his party is the Socialist Party. You will notice. His party, he's Portuguese, right? He's the Socialist Party. Why do we have a socialist in the UN? We need to either clean out the UN, which I don't think is going to happen, or get out of it. Let's get out of it. Stop supporting them. They're just evil. Yeah, a lot of these people are so-called do-gooders, but they're liberals. They're socialists. They're evil. The UN chief warns about the world divided between USA and China. Antonio Guterres, Guterres, warned global leaders Tuesday of the looming risk between the world splitting in two. And so he talks about their own zero-sum geopolitical and military strategies, talking about the United States and China, but the United States, meaning Trump wants to be America first. It's not zero-sum. What a liar. So this guy says the problem may not be large, but it's real, meaning he wants control back. We must do everything possible to avert the great fracture, meaning, each country becoming nationalist again rather than globalist. We need a universal economy with universal respect for international law, meaning he doesn't want America to be sovereign. A multipolar world with strong multilateral institutions. And these are filthy organizations. The IPCC is International something Climate Conference, whatever. And they're the ones promoting the false propaganda about this climate change hysteria. So this guy talks, it's 193 member states of the UN. And he painted a grim picture of a deeply divided nation and an anxious planet facing a climate crisis, the alarming possibility of armed conflict in the Gulf, spreading terrorism, rising populism. What's wrong with populism? And exploding inequality. And then as I said, inequality is a communist word, inequality. It's a communist concern. I was surprised to hear that Republican turned independent, the independent turned Republican turned independent, who was on Jesse's show, the Cheadle is his last name. talk about inequality and all of that so much. Like, what is he concerned about inequality for? That guy was definitely into the black thing. It was funny. And then accusing Trump of being what he is, which is into color. So, whites are on major decline, and it's our fault. Make the white babies. Let me get to some callers. Julius, out of Sacramento, California. First-time caller. Julius, how are you?
All is well, sir. How are you?
Doing fine, thank you.
I was calling because I wanted to mention about Greta Thunberg.
Yeah.
When you was talking about it, something came to my mind. I was like, wait a minute. She's a mentally ill child being used at the forefront to talk about climate change, yet the left praises her. So why is it that when Kanye was quote-unquote mentally ill
right.
and tried to speak the truth, the left trashed him?
That's a good point. Yeah, Kanye West was promoting... That is amazing. Kanye West was promoting Donald Trump, and he was admitting to having like mental illness type issues. And they just chalked it off as that. And some people, there are some people who are consistent with defending the mentally ill, but those tend to be women anyways, or women-minded people too. And they're not for Conway either. They don't really heartily defend Kanye, but they did say, "Oh, you shouldn't say that because that's a female-minded thinking. That's evil because it's basically enabling the mental illness thing." A lot of these people that have this mental illness thing going, so-called, they lean on that. It becomes an excuse. It becomes an exacerbation of the problem. They start giving themselves the excuse to become more pathetic or more inept or dysfunctional. They're dysfunctional people, and then they just chalk it up. Oh, I'm mentally ill. I can't help it. And it becomes an excuse, just like this I can't be perfect thing that everybody is leaning on.
It's the same thing with the homelessness.
Yeah.
People feel bad for them, and they say, oh, they're out in the street. But if they can get up every single day and beg for money, why don't they go beg for a job?
Yeah. But you're right, people did go in on Kanye for supporting Trump and said, oh, he's mentally ill. He's just mentally ill. And you heard the guy yesterday said, the only solution for Trump supporters is a lobotomy. And he was joking, but, people are so evil that it's
crazy
and cruel.
It's crazy how again, Greta is mentally ill, and the left is like, oh, she's inspirational and things like that.
Right.
They back the mental illness, like you were saying, but they never back Kanye West for his mental. They called him crazy.
Yep, you're right. I appreciate it, Julius.
But anyways, yeah, no worries, man. Thank you for that, man. Have a good one, all right?
All right, you too. Take care. Let's go to Christopher out of California. Christopher, how are you?
Hey, how's it going? Hey, how you doing, sir?
Doing fine, thank you. Nice to hear from you.
Wonderful, yeah. I've called your show a couple times. I think we kind of butted heads a little bit, but...
I recognize your voice.
That doesn't happen.
Go for it.
Yeah, I think you mentioned me yesterday on the other show.
Okay.
I appreciate that. Not in a positive way, but I appreciate it. You thought of me. Anyway, so I wanted to talk to you about this girl, this Greta.
Yeah, Greta Thunberg.
I think you guys, I don't know, man. I don't agree with what you're doing to her. This is a 16-year-old little girl with what is it, Asperger's, and it's obvious.
What are we doing to her?
By her parents. You guys are like portraying her in a negative light, making fun of her, cracking jokes. It's a disabled kid that's been manipulated by her parents, man. Come on.
So, what's wrong with what we're doing?
What's wrong with what you're doing is like you're making fun of a little girl with.
She's not a little girl. She's 16.
Yeah, it's a little girl, especially. No,
she's 16 years old, Christopher. She's 16 years old. Her friends, I guarantee you, are worse than we are. But what's wrong with making fun of a little girl?
What's wrong with making fun of a little girl with Asperger's? Are you kidding me, Hake?
Yeah, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with making fun of a little girl with Asperger's?
May I?
Yeah. What the heck? He disconnected. My hands are over here. I didn't do it. Call back, Christopher. Call back. Anyways. Yeah, see, and you can hear the woman in that guy's voice, too. Oh my gosh, are you serious? And he sounds just like Christopher Hahn. It's just totally female-minded. And it's feeling sorry for people who are in maybe a bad situation. Being a little girl isn't a bad situation. Unless you're not supposed to be a little girl. I'm not a little girl. But having Asperger's, so-called Asperger's, that is, they use it as a shield. It's just like saying, oh, he's black, you can't make fun of him. Trump criticized women of color. It's a fake shield. You should you should be able to make fun of anybody. So, she's on the national stage. She knows she's going to catch that stuff. And the reason that those hits are so taboo is because those hits are true. And Christopher is calling back. Christopher, you hung up on me.
No, I didn't, man. The call just dropped. I'm sorry about that.
All right. So you were saying something is wrong with making fun of a little girl with Asperger's. And what is wrong with it?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I was going to just make a point because the last time that I called, and this is true, you can check it out, I called and I talked about a movie director.
Your phone is horrible, Christopher.
Dude, this is I'm
going to put you on hold. Fix his phone, buddy. So, I told you guys about, and then I will get to your calls. Hey, Nick, fix Christopher's phone. Thank you. Let me get to some calls, because you guys are on hold, and we got 20 minutes left. Steven, out of Washington State. How are you doing, Steven?
What's going on, Hake?
Not much. Nice to hear from you.
Hey, man, I got a question for you.
Okay.
I'm always on the road as part of my job.
Yep.
And, I've been really trying to curb my anger, trying to really just get a hold of it.
That's not what Jesse would recommend.
Say that again?
That's not what Jesse would recommend.
What?
Trying to curb and get a hold of your anger is not what he would recommend.
Right. No, I was kind of joking about. I was going to ask about road rage. It was just a joke.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, no, my main reason for calling is talking about the whole.
Do you get road rage?
Do I get road rage? Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
When people slamming brakes in front of me whenever I'm dropping my big truck, and it's hard for me to stop, and then I get in the back and everything's turned over, it's just hard not to.
I understand, but yeah, you should get over it, but there is no, like Jesse says, I'm just passing along the message because I don't, but that it's not something that you can get past. It's not something that you can curb yourself. You have to
go through God. Philippians 4:13, baby. I can do all things through Christ.
I don't know.
No, I was going to talk about the whole climate change thing. First off, go back 30 years and it was global cooling.
Yeah, so, that's what was so funny is Greta Thunberg. She's and I jumped in and said that's not true. Joel, see if you can Google. I don't know what were those Time magazine covers on next ice age. I think that there was stuff in the 80s, but certainly in the 70s. I think in the 80s too, though, because I remember thinking about ice age. There wasn't a big scare, but they've been all over the place. She's lying about it being the science being clear for 30 years. That would have been 89 is 30 years ago. Wow. So maybe by 89 they started talking about climate change.
The time covers it as well. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But if you actually look at the science, if you think about it, what do you need to cause photosynthesis? You need sunlight. You need water, and you need carbon dioxide.
Yeah.
So if they have more carbon dioxide, isn't that going to mean that even if it does get hotter, there's going to be more water in the air, so there's going to be more rain? So that means that we're going to have more vegetation throughout the world. Wouldn't that mean there's more life?
Yeah, man. The whole notion is that it's man-made, and 90% of scientists agree, and they're actually suppressing the information from people that don't agree, and it's a politically motivated thing. Scientists are not objective, and
Well, 90% of scientists agree, and the question is, do you believe in climate change, not man-made climate change?
Right.
Yeah. The climate's been changing since, God created the Earth.
Yeah.
I mean, we've gone through ice ages and times of hot climates. So, I mean, it's, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But
appreciate it, Steven.
Anyway. Yeah. Oh, can I give a shout out to the Bears?
Oh, yeah. Go for it.
We didn't go to the hoodly daddle, guys. All right.
All right, Steven, take care. Let me get back to Christopher out of California. Is this Christopher Hahn?
Yeah, this is Christopher. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go for it. Make your point.
Absolutely wonderful. I'm sorry, I swear I'm not on an Obama phone.
All right.
This is a very expensive phone.
I know.
Anyway, so I was talking to you about Greta Thunberg, whatever her name is. And, let's just, the best course of action is just leave the girl alone. And what I was going to tell you last time is, the last time that I called you, I mentioned a particular grown man, I think in the maybe 70 years old, who was bragging about having sex with like 20,000 boys. And you just hung up on me, and you didn't have anything to say.
Oh yeah,
that. Now you're throwing out.
I'll tell you.
Greta.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Hey, Christopher, because the hits on Greta are true, and somebody bragging about having sex.
She's a little mentally challenged girl. What's wrong with you?
There's nothing. I mean, there's plenty wrong with me, but not in the case of making fun of this girl. And I'm not aware of. Well, yeah, I made fun of her. There's nothing wrong with making fun of a mentally challenged little girl who puts herself out there on stage to be made fun of. Christopher, what's wrong with you?
I don't know, dude, but I think
and then the difference between her and somebody who's accused of or bragging about that is I don't know that story, and I'm not into spreading gossip. But you were not gossiping about her.
You literally just said, what's wrong with making fun of a little mentally ill girl?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it.
God, oh man.
She's promoting evil.
I like you,
hey, Christopher, you notice that she's promoting evil, right?
She's been manipulated.
No. That's not what I asked.
She's traumatized.
That's not what I asked you.
She's been manipulated by her parents.
That's not what I asked you. She's promoting evil.
What have you asked me?
She's promoting evil. You're aware of that, correct?
I'd say that she's promoting falsehood.
And is falsehood evil?
No, not necessarily.
Wow. So this climate stuff, you don't think it's necessarily evil?
No, I'm white, brother. I'm a white nationalist, and white people care about the environment.
You're the white nationalist. I did shout you out. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I said that you fell for the Trump in the climate, the university, whatever, Trump University.
That's exactly what I brought up.
How old are you?
You know what he did?
How old are you?
I'm 35 years old. So, Trump did spend. He had to pay $25 million for that lie, like you say it was.
Whatever. Don't care.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Because you say that he's out for himself, and that's such a lie. That's a lie.
Yes. Well, it's just my opinion.
But it's a lying opinion.
Maybe I'm right.
You're repeating a lie.
Maybe I'm right, but I think that the guy's selfish.
But it's not actually up for an opinion, right? Because this is a question of fact. Either the truth is he's out for himself, or the truth is he's not. And the truth is he's not. It's pretty clear to people who can see clearly. And you're not gonna win just by leaving this girl alone. You have to hit her hard and hit anybody who's using her hard. And I don't mind Michael Knowles getting kicked off of Fox News because
You have to hit a 16-year-old girl with Asperger's hard.
Yeah, that's totally fine because she's promoting evil. And if you don't realize that this climate change nonsense is evil, an attack on white people, which you claim to be a white nationalist, then
I am a white nationalist. Sir.
Yeah, but you're the loser. You're the loser kind.
I'm an ethno-nationalist.
Yeah,
so I believe
But that's the loser kind because you're not going to win by just leaving these people alone. Just they're doing that so you will leave them alone.
What am I trying to win?
You're trying to win for white people, supposedly. Anyway, Christopher.
Just to hope. All right.
Yeah, thanks, man. Nice talking with you, though. I appreciate the disagreement because there is this notion.
I'm dude, because I like you, but we disagree strongly on a lot of points. But I love you, man.
Yeah,
I appreciate you guys.
It's definitely silly not to make fun of people just because they're little girls and mentally ill.
With mentally challenged girls.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Anyways, take care. Let's go to Rob out of Florida. First-time caller. How are you doing?
Doing good. Hey, I want to defend you on this whole making fun of this little girl thing.
Yeah.
First of all, her condition is Asperger's, which she's supposed to be very socially awkward. So for her to be able to get up in a public arena like that and start spouting off all this nonsense about that we're all going to be underwater in a few years is totally up for discussion. And I don't think you're hitting her hard by just bringing out some facts of truth.
Yeah.
You're just talking about the truth. And there's too many people that are getting upset about words.
Yeah.
Once we get rid of being able to critique somebody, I mean, then we've lost our whole First Amendment. Because it's not saying words that are kind. It's saying words that may be offensive.
Yep.
And the girl's 16 years old. In some states she can get married, do all kinds of stuff.
Yep.
So I don't think that that's a problem. And I think that the whole thing with the carbon's going to be going down naturally through our successful capitalistic system when run properly. Because things like the Tesla automobile, that thing is taken over. And it's not because people I'm not a big tree hugger. I want one really bad. It is a freaking fantastic car. My aunt bought one, and she's not a tree hugger. She voted for Trump. It's because it's an awesome vehicle. And these things are just slowly going to take over, and everybody else is going to have to keep up. Naturally, those carbon emissions are going to be going down. We're going to have less noise pollution, less air pollution, all that stuff. Gas prices are going to drop because there's going to be a glut.
Interesting, man.
This whole thing is going to solve itself through capitalism. And us becoming a third world country by creating a tax system that bankrupts everybody isn't going to be helpful.
I appreciate it, Rob.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks.
Thank you, man. Take care. Let's go to Rufus out of Kansas. Rufus, how are you?
This is Rufus speaking.
Hey.
Your friend from the Midwest.
Right on.
All right. Hey, I just wanted to just comment on the fact that I have never seen these so-called 99% of scientists that agree. I've never seen these men and women come forward and say, hey, this is truth, this is the facts.
Yeah.
I've never seen anybody come forward with that information.
That's true. They just say it, and then it's so manipulated. Consensus is not science. Consensus is not truth. But they want to make everything a democracy. Oh, most scientists agree, blah, blah, blah. So-called scientists. And they want...
Well, I'd like to see somebody... I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Go for it. Go for it.
I'd like to see somebody push back on these people when they say these things.
Yeah.
And really just hold their feet to the fire and make them prove themselves that this is true.
Right.
They like to cite sources, and they like to hold other people's feet to the fire when they don't have sources. This is one of the things that's going to be very costly if they actually implement these things. And we need answers. We can't just go off of somebody with a nice face with tears coming out of their eyes. We need more than that.
And their solutions are globalist socialism. I keep saying it. Their solutions are not solutions at all.
I like what the caller before me said. There is a solution to all these problems through capitalism. If there's a problem and it's profitable for the person to solve it, the problems will be solved through natural methods.
Yeah. And, usually stuff is profitable when it's actually truly beneficial to people, because you give something to me and I give something to you because it's a mutual benefit.
Right.
And with this other stuff, they want to force people, and they're not good people. They're socialists. This UN Secretary General, this Antonio Guterres, he's from the Socialist Party, and that's not a good thing to be listening to. And we don't want international influence on America. I thought we didn't like foreign influence, but the UN, they pretend that the UN is a benevolent foreign influence. No, it's not. It's evil. They hate white people. They hate Christians. They hate America. They hate capitalism. And, they're bad. Appreciate that, Ruth.
Fortunately for my grandfather, he didn't live to see all this socialism come about.
Yeah.
He would really be beside himself, and I think a lot of people from that generation would be sick.
And what the difference is that the people are so brainwashed in favor of socialism and against Nazism. Nazism is the only bad thing that they want to attack. But socialism, communism, they're all for it. And so, in other words, they hate white people, and they hate nationalism, which is putting your country first and putting logic first. And they just want to promote this emotional stuff so that they can control you and shame you into just caving in to their control.
We only like the socialism that we like, though. We still hate Russia, but somehow we like Venezuela.
Right.
and what do we do with Vietnam? The whole thing was all about communism. So,
yep.
I don't know.
Thank you, Rufus. Take care, man.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Have a good one.
You too. So, just a quick little reminder. It's not a positive thing, but these whites, I read in the top of the 3rd hour news that the whites are on decline. The number of white working class Americans dropped below 40% of the population for the first time last year. That was according to the Fed, the Federal Reserve of St. Louis. Terrible organization is what I hear. And I think you guys are probably right about that. And so many Americans are seeking a college education, meaning they're becoming brainwashed, and these liberal millennials and Zoomers and everybody else and Gen X are falling for the liberalism, so they're becoming liberals. And white working class people are suffering from the opioid epidemic. Alcoholism and suicide, that's their fault, or our fault, whatever. And birth rates are at a low, declining majorly. And of course, as I mentioned, the so-called immigrants of color have been trucking in ever since 1965. So we've set ourselves up in America to fall hard. But listen to these numbers. Among white working class men, 71% who voted for Trump, according to exit polls, compared to 23%. Less than a quarter of white working class men are such pathetic, brainwashed beta males, at least among the voters of white working class men, that they voted for Trump. Less than a quarter. More than 70% of white working class males voted for Trump. Those are the most logical people. They're not brainwashed by education. Education is a brainwashing thing. They're not educated anymore. Trump won among white voters without a college degree 66% to Hillary's 29%. So that's men and women. So most white women, I think, voted for Trump, something like that. But listen to these college-educated whites. 48% voted for Trump. That's all right. It's not good, though. It's horrible, to be honest. 45% voted for Hillary. Shameful. But she won by large majorities of black, Latino, and Asian voters. Total idiots. The majorities of them. Because you have to be an idiot to vote for Hillary Clinton? Shameful. But, you know, people tend to be, even non-political people tend to be brainwashed into liberalism because the whole culture is pushing that. The ranks of working class whites has already dropped 2% nationally since 2016. That's just 3 years, and it's dropped by 2%. Crazy. They remain a slight majority in the Midwest. So speaking of whites, though, on decline, let me just briefly tell you about this Aurora shooter, James Holmes, because he's come up into the news a little bit, not because of him, but because of this Joker movie that's coming out with Joaquin Phoenix. I don't recommend watching it, not because of this incident, but there's James Holmes. He's wearing orange hair. I think he was wearing that orange hair when he committed the mass shooting in 2012 in Aurora, Colorado, at the movie theater. There's him again, looking wild-eyed, crazy, kooky white man. Male, beta male. Look at him. That's nasty. Terrible. Wide-eyed. Is he on drugs? Or is he just have anxiety? I think he did take anxiety medication or some type of medication. He went to like University of San Diego or something like that. Had a shrink or something. There he is looking a little bit more normal, but knowing what he did, like, or at this point, I don't think he had done it, right? But crazy smile. A lot of whites look like this, right? A lot of whites have this anxiety thing going, and they look bug-eyed, wild-eyed. AOC, Cortez, you know, she has that. I have it sometimes. But this whole notion is that these so-called victims, or the families of the victims, of this Colorado shooting are joining forces, at least some of them are, right? Becoming useful idiots for gun control, meaning gun control is always a bad thing. Always. It's a violation of the Second Amendment. It's infringing on our rights to keep, own, and bear arms, carry weapons. The good weapons, decent weapons. The best, top of the line. Matching any government, right? Matching any cartel. Matching any terrorist. We need the good people need to be should be armed, ready, so that nobody wants to invade. And this guy, according to a LA Times headline, I don't think I gave this one to you, Joel. I may have, but I don't think I did. James Holmes wanted to, quote, kill as many people as possible in the Colorado theater rampage. I heard that he went at midnight to avoid killing a bunch of kids, I guess. So honor among murderers, I guess. But he wanted to kill as many as possible. Ducks in a barrel. And that's what they always want to do. The ducks in the barrel situation where you don't have guns. You guys already know this. That TMZ reported that theater is not going to be playing the Joker movie. That's what they claim. TMZ is sometimes fake news. They sometimes get it wrong. So, and now Joaquin Phoenix is defending, oh, Joker is not dangerous. Because Joaquin Phoenix is playing Joker. Looks crazy. But they are promoting this guy. They're promoting mental illness. They're promoting murderers. They're promoting the bad guys. They've been doing it for, decades now? Let me give Kyle out of Denver, Colorado, 30 seconds. Kyle, you have 30 seconds to make your point. Go for it.
Hey, I just was going to say about the girl that was the climate change. I agree that she's wrong. She's a pawn that her father's using because she's cute and young, and he'll get the point across. But yeah, I don't think it's right to really come down on her because she's a kid still.
Yeah, she's basically an adult. According to the Jews, you're an adult at 13, right? Wasn't like the Virgin Mary like 13 years old maybe when she had Jesus? I could be wrong. But I don't follow that stuff. I don't buy that stuff. In my mind, that's just another aspect of political correctness.
Yeah, that's I don't agree with what she says for sure.
Yeah. I appreciate it, Kyle. I gotta go, man. Call me tomorrow. All right, guys. I'll catch you tomorrow on the Jesse Lee Peterson Show and then the Hake Report. Tomorrow is what, Thursday? Yeah. Take care, guys. By the way, it's fall. It's been fall since Monday, or autumn for the British, I guess. All right, take care.